Mostly we are continuing in today's Mishna Yomi. Today we find ourselves in Moed Katan, Perek Beis, Mishnah Gimel through Daled, chapter 2, Mishnah 3 through 4. So Mishnah Gimel says as follows: Machnis Adam Peirosav Mipnei Haganovim, Vishola Pishtano Min HaMishra B'Shvil Shelo Tova. It's an interesting halacha. A person could go ahead and gather his fruit. This is on Chalamayid. A person could gather his fruit on Chalamayid from either the orchards or from the gardens in order that they not be stolen. So a person has produce out in the field and I want my produce to be stolen. I could go ahead and gather it on Chalamayid. Similarly, let's say my flax is soaking. So flax, if it soaks for too long, will get ruined. So I could pull my flax out of the water on Chalamayid as well. Both of these activities, although they involve exertion, are permitted, because if I don't engage in them, I will suffer a loss. But there's a caveat. As long as you do not intentionally leave this work for Chalamayid. However, but if you intentionally left this work till Chalamayid, in other words, say to yourself, why should I gather my fruit now? I'll have plenty of time over Chalamayid. Or why should I take the flax out now? I'll have plenty of time over Chalamayid. Yovedu. In that case, again, you are penalized. That halacha l'maisa, one is not permitted to go ahead and engage in this malacha. So what you see over here is you're permitted to go ahead and do malacha in order to stave off a loss, assuming that you do not intentionally leave this malacha for Chalamayid. But if a person intentionally left it, then indeed they are penalized. So Mishnah Daled, Mishnah number 4. Elochin batin avodim ubehema. On Chalamayid, a person is not permitted to purchase homes, servants, animals, elo litzorach hamoed. Unless, of course, halacha l'maisa, you need any of these items for Chalamayid. You need the home, you need the servant, you need the animal. If you need it for the sake of Chalamayid, then it's permitted to purchase it. Oh, litzorach hamocher she'en lo ma yochel. This is a very interesting case. Or let's say, for example, I don't need the animal. Baruch Hashem, I have all the meat I need. But Ruvain, who's selling the animal, he needs money. He needs money. He doesn't have enough money to be able to take care of his family for Chalamayid. So this is very interesting. This is called Poel ve'ein lo ma yochel, a worker or a mocher, a seller who doesn't have what to eat. So in this case, I don't need the item, but I would like to be able to give the parnasa, to give the sustenance, to give the livelihood to the individual. So I'm permitted to go ahead and purchase an item even if I don't need it, but the seller needs the parnasa. Interesting halacha. In Mefana mibayis lebayis, another interesting case. If a person has utensils or a person has wheat, you cannot go ahead and move produce or items from one home to another home. And the Bartanura says, because this involves exertion. However, what can you do? You can move an item or grain or other objects from your home into the chatzar, and from your home into your courtyard. That is not considered to be an excessive amount of tircha. Another interesting case. Let's say I have utensils that are at the craftsman's home. So in this case over here, the Bartanura points out we're talking about utensils that you don't need for Chalamayid. So I don't need these particular utensils for Chalamayid, and they happen to be at the craftsman's home. So the Mishnah says as follows, that I cannot go ahead and pick up utensils from the craftsman's home and bring them into my own home, right? Ultimately, why not? Because the concern over here, the Bartanura says, well, first of all, the Bartanura says that halacha l'maisa, this is, again, as I mentioned before, only assuming we're talking about utensils I don't need for Chalamayid, right? So what's the issue? The issue, the Gemara explains, seems to be that halacha l'maisa, we're concerned either A, because of tircha yisera, unnecessary exertion, or the other possibility is it looks like there is a marasayim. There's almost an issue over here that it looks like halacha l'maisa, that maybe I intentionally gave my utensils to the craftsman to be fixed or to be fashioned on Chalamayid. So either because tircha yisera, excessive exertion, or because of marasayim, it looks like I'm engaging in giving the craftsman the utensils on Yom Tiv, I'm not allowed to do it. So again, this is why the Bartanura says, however, if it's utensils that you need for Yom Tiv, then halacha l'maisa, you're absolutely permitted to do so. But what about if you're concerned that if I leave it by the craftsman, maybe it's going to get stolen? Right? Maybe ultimately, again, it's going to get stolen from the house of the craftsman. So in that case, mefanan l'chatzar acheres. So here the Mishnah says, don't bring them to your house. don't bring them to your house, but rather, again, go ahead and deposit them in another chutzner. So again, interesting enough, if I'm afraid of a loss, I can't bring it to my house, which makes sense, because if there's a maris ayin issue, that it looks like that I'm intentionally giving over utensils to be created or to be fixed on Chalamayid, I can't bring them into my home, but I can essentially deposit them elsewhere for their safekeeping. All right, the boss will stop over here. Wishing everyone a wonderful day. Looking forward to Me'er Hashem to continue the Mishnayos tomorrow.